Yo, what's going on? In this bonus episode, I'm talking with Rory Linkletter, professional runner for Puma, who just came in the top 10 at the Chicago Marathon 2025, running a PB, but falling just short of his goal of running a Canadian record. In this bonus episode, we'll talk about his preparation for the race, how the race went down, how was he able to get all his sugars in, and he wasn't using a lot of gels this time. It was really interesting to hear him talk about the rationale for going for more liquids versus gels. Of course, we're going to talk about some of the shoes he's been training with and enjoying running and racing in. We're also going to talk about some of his plans for the future. Hopefully you enjoyed this bonus episode with Rory Linkletter. Rory, it's so good to see you. It looks like you're back at home. How are you feeling after the Chicago Marathon?
Yeah, I'm back home. I'm feeling sore, that's for sure. A little tired, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm proud of my performance in Chicago. I feel really good about what I did out there, how I executed and everything. Obviously, I was very public with my goals this build, and I was short of that ultimate goal, but I think the process was perfect on race day.
I wanted to kind of dive into that, and I didn't want to come out and make it feel like I'm asking like a tough or mean question. But because you had, you know, put out there and throughout the build that we were able to see that you in the videos you've been making on YouTube, you've been very much like out there ready to go tackle the Canadian record. You didn't get it, but you also came away with a PB. And so from my perspective, it looks like a success. But the question I wanted to start out with is, was it a successful race? And it sounds like the answer is yes.
I think so. I think it's always a success when you're improving and when you're taking big swings and learning along the way. I feel like the marathon, nothing is guaranteed. I knew I could run the Canadian record this build, but I also knew that it was going to be really hard to do. That time is stout, and I knew it wasn't going to just come because I spoke it and because I trained for it.
The Canadian record is held by Cam Levins, which also happened or was the area record for a while at 2:05:36. Now, Cam was famous for running triples in the build to his 2:05:36.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider running some triples to maybe put yourself on the same footing?
I can honestly say that I didn't seriously consider doing triples. I feel like
But there was a moment you were like, well, maybe.
well, I mean, I do definitely think that there's something sexy about the idea of running that much, but at the same time, it would be such an overhaul change from what I'm used to that it would be more risk than reward.
Let's jump into the training a little bit because we were talking about like you were training for that record, and you're like ultimately that's still kind of like in the sights, something that you're looking at. Like, what were some of the things that you felt led you to believe like, all right, yeah, this is within reach, and this could be within reach in this build.
I think more than anything, it was Boston that gave me that confidence. I went out in 61:50 something in Boston and didn't completely implode. And I think Chicago was somewhat the same, honestly. 62:20 through halfway, not downhill first half like Boston. So I think that the efforts were probably pretty comparable, more even in Chicago than in Boston. Boston, a lot of that was in the first 6 miles. In a lot of ways, I ran, in my mind, a very similar race. Just the only thing that was different was the competition and what happened in front of me and around me. To me, that like 75 seconds I fell short is just a matter of taking a few more cracks at it, getting a better group in theory. Not that my group wasn't good, but it was a 62:20 group, not a 62:40 group. And I didn't get to hang with those guys as long as I wanted. And that kind of took a ton of energy out of the last 10K of the race, running most of it alone.
When I saw that you had come through at 62:20, that seemed to me like I'm like, well, that seems crazy fast. But then again, I'm like, that's kind of very close to what you got to run if you're going to run at 2:05. What were your thoughts as you're like crossing that halfway mark and you're seeing that time on the big clock?
I wasn't surprised, that's for sure. I thought we'd run 62:30, so 10 seconds. That's within the margin of error that you expect out of your pacer. And I was actually really excited because Connor's group was supposed to be 62 flat, and we ended up crossing through halfway together anyways, just because his group was a little slow, ours was a little fast. We were kind of pulled towards them. And that gave me a little bit of excitement because I was a little bit discouraged when I realized he was going to go through in 62 flat because, one, I didn't think that that was a good idea for me. And two, I really wanted to be a part of the race. And I considered that to be my race, was the race for the North American / Canadian record. And Connor, obviously, I knew he was on another level. Honestly, like I obviously built it as I have a chance. I'm going into this fight thinking Canadian record, maybe keep the area record, but I have so much respect for who Connor Mance is that I'm not surprised that he obliterated it, and I'm not surprised that he beat me. It was more like, on my best day, I can run this time. Let's see what he does.
I mean, I'm not a sports betting guy, but I had money on you on this one. I got to tell you.
Okay, I like
So,
it.
I mean, it just I felt like the confidence was there, and I like the way you presented at the press conference before the race. Thought it was pretty awesome. Can we talk a little bit about the kit that you had on at the press conference?
Of course, yeah.
So Canadian tuxedos, bold choice. I feel like an appropriate one though.
Yeah, when I made that decision, it was like, oh, I got invited to the press conference. I got to do something cool. Like I can't just show up in Puma sweats and just call it a day. Like that's what everyone does.
Okay. Did your wife know that you were going to do that?
Yeah, I told her.
Okay.
She was a supporter.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about the patch. There's like patches on that on the top of it. What were those patches? I didn't get a good look at those.
I don't even know. It's like some sort of Southwest vibe. Like
Okay. Okay.
I got it at a store called Cal Ranch here in Flagstaff, and I've worn it before. It's not the first time I've worn that exact outfit, honestly. Like I've worn a Canadian tuxedo to multiple occasions, unironically.
Okay. Okay. Canadian occasions.
No, just like go to the rodeo,
Okay.
go to a Western bar,
Got it.
like it's just an easy, fun thing to do.
All right. All right. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, getting back to the race. So as I saw you guys, like in the beginning, as it kind of unfolded, it looked like, John Career was doing his thing with Kip Limo up front. Then there was a huge chase pack that Connor was in. And then you kind of were there with like about 4 other guys, just like 2 steps, 3 steps behind them. Did that kind of like that 3-chord progression, I guess, stay that way for a lot of the race? Because sometimes I couldn't tell, like, if you guys were catching up to them or they were slowing down. What was kind of going on from your perspective?
From my perspective, the race got out way too fast. So our first 5K was 14:25, I believe.
Yeah. You were like 14
is-
minute for sure. Yeah.
Which is right on pace for what Kelvin ran when he ran the world record. So not what we needed to do, but not a surprise either. When you know that the people up front are going for a world record, you expect to be pulled out fast. And I think most of that was in the first 2K of the race. I was taking splits at the mile markers on course, and I had my manual split at 4:31 for the 1 mile. So like most of that happens in the first mile, because we're about 10 seconds under pace just through 1 mile, and we're probably 20 seconds total for the first 5K. So in my mind, I was like, let's not get carried away here. This is a very long race, but I actually did feel pretty good at that point. Obviously, really early into a marathon. And I kind of was like, that group's going too fast. Our group's going too fast. Everybody's too fast to start. It's going to somewhat settle here. And we settled into a pace that was right around 62:30 pace after that first mile. We kind of like found our groove. And what I noticed was Connor's group, the bigger group, wasn't getting away from us. They kind of put all their distance on us in the first like 3-4 miles. And then we kind of stayed 5-ish to 10-ish seconds back. And that started to kind of inch 1 second closer every mile from like 5 to 8. And I think it was right around 9 or 10 that we reconnected to them through like the 15K aid station. We all grabbed our bottles, and it was like a very slight surge. Maybe I ran like a 4:43 instead of a 4:48, and I was right on the back of it. And at that point, I was excited to do that because, like I said, it just kind of put me back into the race that I was like, this is where I'm trying to be. And we're not like crazy under goal pace. So it feels like if we're going to have these bodies, this is advantageous.
Okay. Now you mentioned bottles. I've heard from some other athletes that there were some issues with picking up bottles. Some people that from the spectator side, seeing some of the elite aid stations said it looked like the bottles were a little bit crowded, or maybe the tables were a little small. Did you notice anything like that, or did you have any issues picking up yours?
So I was lucky. I was bottle number 3 on my table, and Mance and I believe Cyprian Cotout was the other bottle in front of me. So they were in front of me the whole race. So they would grab theirs, and then mine was front and center. So like when I would come by, it was just the first bottle on the table. I will say the tables at Chicago were like a little short, and the bottles were placed in the middle of the table, which is a bit odd. Usually you want it a little taller and a little closer to the edge of the table so that You don't have to lunge to grab the bottle. I never had any trouble getting any of my bottles, so I can't say that it was an issue.
Well, that's good to hear. As far as nutrition, what are you putting in the bottles, and how often are you taping any gels to them? What's the nutrition plan for you like?
I feel like my nutrition plan is one that is pretty simple. It has changed slightly marathon to marathon throughout my career. I just kind of tweak formulas. I don't get like too stuck in like this is the way and I'll never deviate. This time I aimed for around 200 grams of carbohydrates. I was a little scared of gels this race because I knew how fast we were going to run. I didn't want the gels to be like something that caused acid reflux or stomach issues. When you run a little faster than you're comfortable with, it's a little harder to digest, right? So I wanted something that was really sippable, so I went drink heavy this race. I filled my bottles halfway full. They're 300 milliliter, the skinny bottles, so about 150 mil in each bottle, and they had about 25 grams of carbs, the blanked high carb drink mix in each one of those. And I was having one of those every 5K, so yeah, right around 100 grams an hour. I did have an emergency calf gel on me that I did take around 15, 20K as like this race is starting to get hard. Let's see if some caffeine can help me. But yeah, it was a pretty simple, just get carbs in, sip, take your time with each bottle. I was doing lemon lime high carb mix from blanks, except for at 15 and 25K, I was doing root beer with added caffeine in it, with root beer flavor.
I didn't think you had root beer in the bottle. That'd be pretty wild.
I mean, it
You're
wouldn't be
like
the
A and
first
W.
person to ever do flat soda in a bottle.
Yeah. Okay. And so just the one gel for the race plus the
I had one
100.
before.
Yeah.
I had one before, and
Okay.
then I had another emergency gel in case of emergency.
Yeah.
And usually I will do more gels than that, but in training, when I was training for this pace, I could tell it was like harder to get down gels than usual. And I think it's just because 440s is aggressive. It's super, super aggressive. I wasn't having trouble drinking, but I was having trouble like when I slam a gel, the next time I would get my bottle, I would almost like burp up that gel. So I was like, okay, I'm on the edge of what I can run and absorb nutrients. But honestly, on race day, my gut was awesome. Like I'm glad I made that call. I had zero GI issues. Usually, I'll even get like a cramping or something like that. Like anything can happen in the race. And this was the first time that my stomach was good the entire race. No like urge to go to the bathroom, no stomach cramping, no like burping or anything like that.
When I saw you at about mile 17 or so coming through Greektown, it looked like you had fallen back a little bit from that pack that Mance was in.
Yeah.
It was you and Wesley. When did that start to happen?
Right around mile 15.
Okay.
Right, like maybe 14 and a half to 15 miles in. Like I said, we go through halfway, 62:20. At that time, I feel like I'm on the ropes, but I'm not worried yet, right? Like I think, okay, there's waves in marathons. Sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel bad. And in the 15th mile, I remember specifically getting dropped by like 2 to 3 seconds. I was splitting my watch every mile, like I said. And when I split at 15, I was expecting to see that I had slowed down. And I had actually run like a 4:44 on that mile and still was getting dropped. So I was like, at this point, if I'm gonna speed up any more to try to stay on this group, I'm actually playing with the possibility of imploding out here.
Yeah.
So I think I made all the right calls. It was tough to say. I definitely wasn't going to be able to run 4:45s, 4:44s all the way through the race. So I started running like 4:54, 4:53 all by myself, and that was just kind of the survival the rest of the way.
Yeah. And then you were running with Wesley Kiptoo at that point. Is that right?
Yeah, he fell off after I did. I caught him. We ran together for maybe 2 miles, and then I kind of ran away from him and started looking up the road. And that was where like Zuhair, Bashir Abdi, Daniel, is it Mateko? I don't remember all the names. There was a couple other Kenyan guys, Timothy Kaplagat, whatever.
Okay. In a race like this, where I mean, Mance is very vocal about like the pace that he wants to set, and when you're trying to go after a record, it's more of like a time trial than it is a championship style race. You're vocal about what you're trying to do. John's trying to call his shot about going after the world record. Is it like running a time trial, or are there surges? You already mentioned like at one point it looked like the group had kind of surged a little bit. But was this a very different race than what you saw in, say, Boston or in the Olympics?
It was different. It was different because my biggest fear was that I was going to end up in no man's land around 25K, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Whereas in Boston, I remember thinking similar thoughts around the same times in the race, where it's like, man, this is fast. Let's hope I can stick on this. But the fact that Boston doesn't have pacers, there's occasional like moments of reprieve.
Okay.
Like someone else ends up in the front, slows it down by 5 seconds for 1 mile in the race, and that can be all you need to just like regroup, regather. Whereas in Chicago, it's all gas, right? Like I don't think I saw a split on my watch under like slower than 4:48 until I got dropped. So we were just clipping them away like continuous, all gas. Whereas Boston, we got out super fast because of the downhill, and then we had like a lull from like 9 to 11 that really helped me regather myself and stay engaged.
Yeah, I mean this race was incredibly fast. I was astonished by it. At what point did you realize that like this record might be out of my reach today?
Honestly, right when I got dropped, I knew I wasn't going to be able to run four. I think at that point I still needed to run like close to 3 minutes per K, 450 per mile for 10, 11 more miles all by myself, knowing that we were going to start hitting some headwinds from like 17 to 22. I was not giving up on the record, but I was acknowledging that the where I was at, it was very unlikely
Hmm.
because I was hurting. Like it wasn't like I was feeling great at that point. That was deep in the pain cave.
Okay. I mean, because I think that like it may be the one area where your pro experience could be like more relatable to a regular runner's experience, because we've all been there where like we all come in with time goals. None of us are trying to race nobody, so
Yeah.
all we're trying to do is race the clock. And I've had many experiences where I'm like I have a goal and I could see it slipping away. What is going through your mind at that point? You're hurting. You said you're in the pain cave. You got 10 miles to go. What is going through your mind? How are you staying engaged in this race so that you're finishing strong like you did?
Yeah, it kind of changed mile by mile throughout this race. I think that the hardest stretch was when I first started to lose it till about 21. That 5 mile stretch between 16 to 21, I just felt sorry for myself. I knew I had a long way to go. I knew I wasn't going to get this record, and I didn't know what the finish time could be. Because when you're starting to slip, your biggest fear is that you're going to keep slipping, right? You're going to lose 5 seconds every mile, and then all of a sudden you're losing a minute, 2 minutes in the race. So I was kind of playing through all the doomsday scenarios in my head, but also trying to stay positive and stay engaged. Luckily, the splits I was seeing were showing me that I was in this mode where I was kind of locked into a new groove. I was running like 5.0s by like 18, 19, 20, maybe even like 2021 was when those 5.0s started. Either way, that's not a complete explosion. It's just one of those where you know you're losing time, but you're not bleeding out yet. So I was able to keep engaged, think, okay, maybe PB's still on the table. At least I got to stay away from this chase group that might be behind me. Because I knew that there was a group going out in 64 with a lot of guys that were planning on negative splitting the second half. So I'm thinking if I'm going to run 207 something, they're coming. They're right behind me. So I'm kind of just trying to keep my momentum, stay strong, not lose places, and then keep my eyes up the road and see who maybe I can catch as they're falling off that group. And I start to see bodies around 21, 22. And then I start doing math in my head as I get closer and closer to the finish line. Oh, maybe I can still run a personal best. Maybe I can still catch 2 or 3 guys. And I got kind of a second wind with 2 to 3 miles to go, knowing that sub 207 still on the table and maybe top 10. I didn't know what place I was in, but I could see bodies on the road in front of me. And it's like, I know I'm running stronger than those guys right now. So if I can stay with this fight, maybe I can get a top 10, maybe I can get a PB and still check some boxes that are really important to me.
And you did. You came in top 10, ninth overall, and a PB. Now you could say you're a 206 guy. You were
Yeah.
only just barely a 207 guy at 207.02, which
Yeah.
is I know has got to be frustrating.
It is and it isn't because like at least you know there's no 207 guys that are faster than you, right? Like
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you're running
Okay.
207.0, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm one of the best 207 guys out there, especially if you did it at Boston, right?
Yeah.
And that's what gave me the confidence to go after this fast time because I was like I might be a 207 guy on paper, but I'm as low of a 207 guy as you can be. So you start doing like the mental gymnastics around it, you're like 205 isn't that far away.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
now I'm a 206 guy and 205 is even closer.
Exactly. Exactly. So then after the race, I saw your coach was with you at least before the race. I saw.
Yep.
You talked to your coach after the race.
Yeah, we celebrated together, had some dinner, had some drinks. You know, the classic just kind of post-marathon celebration. No matter what happens in the marathon, I think you should celebrate after it because it's a miracle to get there. It's a miracle to finish because there's a lot of things that can go wrong all along the way.
Any discussions on like debriefing in terms of what happened, or is that for another time?
We're planning on doing like a full debrief in the next day or two.
Okay.
We kind of acknowledge that, hey, we went for it. That's still a really solid day. We're proud of the effort. I don't think either of us feel like there was any egregious mistakes made from like an execution or training standpoint. I'm really, really happy with how John prepared me for this race, and I'm really happy with how I raced it. I don't have regrets, and that's the best feeling you can have after a marathon. I've had the feeling where I'm like, oh man, was my training as good as it needed to be? Did I make bad decisions out there? I think I made every decision I needed to make. I just didn't run 205.35, which is what I was setting out to do. But that's an arbitrary time at the end of the day. Yes, that's the goal, but it's just the goal that we've set because of what someone else has done in a completely different setting and environment. It's hard to really play this game. Like chasing records is fun. Like it got a lot out of me this build, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to run the best marathons we can run every time we go out there. We're trying to keep improving.
All right. I mean, it's good to hear, like that, you felt like you were as prepared as you needed to be because distinctly remember you saying after Paris, that like you ran as well as you could have on that day. It's kind of like you had studied for the wrong test a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that like on this day, it just seems like another day, maybe a couple of degrees difference. It could be
Yeah.
a completely different story.
Or 20 seconds slower through the half and a different group of guys that are a little bit more conservative for a couple of these splits. Maybe I stay in the fight 5K longer. I can smell that finish line and I start to dig a little deeper. I find 20, 30 more seconds. There's a lot of things that can happen. And at the end of the day, I don't feel like there was something that I did that hurt my chances.
And so as we're looking forward, I think we should also look back a little bit. So for this build, you've got the flowing hair. It looks great. Looks like you just took off a hockey helmet, looks amazing. And now even a professional hair model is what I understand.
Yeah. I signed a deal with a company that I've been not working with, but using their product, I should say, since 2020. Just like to give you a brief background, I hate shampoo, but I've had like a lot of long hair throughout my days. I've always liked to grow out my hair, then shave it, then grow it out, then shave it. That's kind of the process I go through. And one of the worst things about having long hair is the process of having to wash it and then it getting all frizzy and crappy. But this product that I've now partnered with is kind of like an alternative to shampoo that's like a daily rinse, cleans your hair, but keeps the oils in it so that you don't like get this frizzy, nasty hair. It's called Modern Mammals. I'm really excited to be partnering with them. And now I kind of found a product that I really like and believe in that I was one of their first customers. They're still a small company, still growing. And this idea of being able to step outside of the running space and have a niche, pro hair model, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like a funny tongue-in-cheek thing, but at the same day, like people do, same note, people do love the hair. There's a lot of comments about hair.
All right. So then for the next swing at the Canadian record, do we keep the hair long or hair short? What are you thinking so far?
I don't think I'm committed to one thing or another. I do feel like I'll probably change my hairstyle, but keep the flowy nature of it. I think I'll definitely grow it through the winter because, I'm wearing a toque right now, a beanie, whatever you want to call it. And I think once it gets cold outside, it's fun to have the long hair flowing out of the winter hats. It's fun.
Yeah, I can relate. I can also relate to the hair drying out. You know, my hair is super
Yeah.
frizzy right now because of the same reason. Washing it like once, twice a day, it wrecks your hair. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try some of that stuff. But the other thing that I want to talk about is you've had also another way that you change your look frequently is with the facial hair.
Yeah.
And so I've compiled a list. I don't know if it's an exhaustive list, but I've come through some of your races and whether you have or haven't had facial hair. And we'll talk
Okay.
about maybe we can make a decision together on whether you should have facial hair for the next big swing.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go not in chronological order, but some that I think stick out. 2021 CIM, you won the race. No facial hair.
Second. Second in CIM.
Oh, you second? Oh, I thought you won. Okay. Second in CIM, still a really good day.
Yeah. Yeah.
No facial hair, right?
Okay.
2022 Eugene. I feel like that was a good day. No
Solid
facial.
day. Big PB on that day.
Yeah, no facial hair.
Okay.
2023 Budapest. I feel like that was a good day for you.
It was a really good day.
No facial hair. 2024 Paris. You had a little mustache. Right? Is that right?
Maybe I did. I
think you did.
honestly can't remember. Maybe I did.
And I feel like that was. I thought you raced well, but you were disappointed in the way it turned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I would say Boston 2021.
2025, you mean this year?
No, your first time running Boston.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
You had a lot of facial hair. Yeah, I think that's the most facial hair you ever raced. No, it was like
Well, I dyed it.
thick
That was
mustache, was it? What
I
was?
dyed my mustache black, which was terrible.
Okay. Yeah. That was not a good day for you.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. So I'm thinking 2025 Chicago, you had I think a lot of facial hair, right?
I did a little mustache for this one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, I can't grow a lot of facial hair, but
Okay.
I had the mustache mullet combo.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So I feel like to me, the history results indicate you should probably shave it for
Okay.
the next big swing.
I'll take that into account, and I feel like maybe you're onto something there. I definitely don't know if I have enough facial hair that there's a real reason. It
Yeah.
could be like more random than anything.
Okay.
Funny enough, I have my uncle Doug, that is the kind of guy that messaged me frequently before this race, wondering if my hair was too big to go for this record. He was concerned on whether or not I was having way too much like air resistance with all this flow.
Yeah.
And he probably is feeling very vindicated that I didn't get the record and my hair is super long. He would have wanted me to, skinhead shave the head before for aerodynamics. And Jill, my wife, actually suggested that it would be pretty funny and crazy if I like showed up to the start line with no hair, like just shaved my head the night before, but didn't show anyone until the morning of the race. And I said, that would be cool, but if I don't get the record and I do that, people are going to point that I shouldn't have shaved the hair.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I keep it, no one's going to be like, "Oh man, he should have shaved his head."
Okay. All right. As far as the facial hair goes, does your wife like it or no?
She actually does because she thinks I look too young as it is, kind
Okay.
of like I got a baby face.
Okay.
So she likes when I don't go clean shave.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's the most important deciding factor.
Yes.
Whatever she likes,
Yeah.
Okay. As far on a little bit more serious note, as far as training, it looks like for this build you had Nico there with you for a lot of runs.
Yep.
Getting
He's
the boys back
officially a
together?
training partner with Verde Track Club.
Okay. And then it looks like you were running with Jason Travia a couple of times.
He came out and biked along and helped get footage for my YouTube guy Scott Barker a few times.
Okay. Cool. I was like, oh, look at all these like Flagstaff guys getting together. I like to see it. So it was good.
I worked out with Bia. Two of my biggest workouts this build were with Bia.
Okay.
So he's probably the one guy that I like went out of my way to find ways to work with him because A, I love Bia. B, he's obviously a world-class marathoner himself. He's a 206 guy. And I just love how he trains. I love his approach. I love how calm and smooth he is in these workouts. I always feel like he helps me get the most out of myself. I think that was really good for me.
Good. I mean, I've met Bia now, and he's a super chill dude. I like that guy a lot.
Chillest.
Amazing guy. Well, I'm glad to see that you guys are finding ways to work together. I'm sure you don't have anything planned yet in terms of when you'd be racing, but like what changes between now and the next big swing? Is it just we're on the right track, keep doing it, or here's where I was missing something and I want to specifically work on that? What are some thoughts you have so far?
I've thought about that a little bit, and it's really hard to put a pin on what like I really need to do differently in order to get that next 75 seconds, right? I do think it's just kind of taking more cracks at it, stacking build on build. You've heard Clayton Young say this. These builds do stack on each other. No training block is like a fresh slate. You're always coming off of whatever the context is of what you just ran. And this was my best year by far. So I'm going to take some time, recoup, relax, let my body hit the reset mode. I don't think my next marathon will be a record attempt. I just don't think that that's like a place that you want to live in constantly. You don't want to always be like chasing records, chasing records, chasing records every time out. I think I want to just focus on racing and what excites me, maybe do some off distance stuff. And then for my next marathon, it'll likely be a race where time isn't important.
All
You
right.
probably
Yeah, I have some ideas. And as you get ready for that next one, what would it be? Or let's talk about what you were reaching for this build. What were some of the shoes that you were reaching for on a day to day basis? I saw that you raced in the fast R3s. What are you training in?
for all my A plus workouts, the ones where I'm saying this is an indicator workout, I got to see where I'm at, I grab the fast R3s. Anything else, deviate threes. So that's kind of like 80% of my workouts are definitely in the deviate three, and only like one out of every five will be in this fast R3, we're going for it type mentality. And then for training shoes, I'm always just heavy rotation. I've said this on your show before, but I'm like kind of a shoe nerd in the sense that I make a lot of my shoe decisions based on how my legs feel, but also like what's my outfit, what match. So I'm definitely using the entire Puma rotation, velocities, deviates, magnifies, forever runs. I'm on all of them.
I think that's all I have for you today, Rory. Thanks so much for taking time out of it. Hopefully, you're enjoying some time off, and we can't wait to see what your next races are going to be.
I can't wait either. I got to figure that out, but I'm excited to get back out there and train again. I don't do well off breaks, but I'm going to take a week or two of no serious running.
Awesome. Great to hear that. All right. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.